Hi, this is Mato. Welcome to my online chess lecture. In this video, I will show you a game between Vladimir Kramnik and Fabiano Caruana. This is a game from World Championship Candidates Tournament, played in 2018. Vladimir Kramnik had white pieces and he started with e4. Fabiano Caruana played e5. Knight to f3, attacking the pawn, and now knight to f6. Petrov defends. Knight takes on e5, the standard move, d6. Knight to f3, knight takes on e4. White to move. d4 is the most played move. Kramnik played queen to e2. Queen to e7, the only good move. If something different, like d5, then d3, and white is winning. So we have queen to e7, knight to c3, knight takes on c3, d takes on c3, and the queens were exchanged. Knight to c6, bishop to e3, bishop to e7, Kramnik castled queenside, and Fabiano Caruana castled kingside. This position was seen before. It was the game between Kuprechik and Zhitkov, played in 2007. Player with the white pieces played knight to d4, and after the knights were exchanged, the game ended in a draw. Soon afterwards, back to our game. In this position, Kramnik played rook from h to e1, bishop to f6, knight to d2, perhaps intending knight to e4, rook to e8, bishop to f3, knight to e5, attacking the bishop, bishop to f4, attacking the pinned knight, king to f8. If knight takes on f3, then rook takes rook, checkmate. King to f8. Bishop to d5, removing the target. c6, bishop to b3, bishop to f5, h3, intending g4 and perhaps g5. But now Caruana played g5. Bishop to h2, king to g7, c4, preventing d5, g4. If d5 is played, what happens then? And this is what happens. White wins the pawn, and white is standing better. So g4 is a very good move by Caruana. Knight to e4. If h takes on g4, knight takes on g4. Knight to e4. Bishop takes on e4, rook takes on e4, bishop to g5, check, king to b1, g takes on h3. White to move. c5 was played. What happens if g takes on h5? Then black knight can jump to f3, but Caruana would probably play f5 first, because if knight to f3, then rook to g4 could be played. So after pawn takes pawn, f5, intending knight to f3. Back to our game. c5 was played. f5, attacking the rook. Rook to b4. h takes on g2. Black is temporarily 2 pawns up. Rook takes on b7, check. King to h8. This is the best spot for the king. If king goes closer to the center, he may get in trouble. King to h8. c takes on d6. Material is equal, but black is somewhat better. Especially because of his next move. Knight to f3. Do you agree that black is better now? Bishop hasn't got a good square to go to. But in this position, Kramnik found the best move. Bishop to a4. What happens if bishop goes to g3? Then f4. And if bishop goes to g1, then one line goes like this. Rook e2, d7, rook to d8, c3, rook to d2. And black is winning. If rook takes rook, bishop takes on d2, black is winning. Back to our game. So, Bishop to a4. Knight takes bishop. Kramnik lost a piece. Bishop takes on c6. For a piece, Kramnik has only one pawn, but his hope is in pass pawns. Rook from a to d8, d7, rook to e2, bishop takes on g2. And Kramnik is feeling a bit better now with his pass pawn gone. Rook takes on f2, bishop to c6, knight to g4. Knight to f1 would be even better, and if a4 now, then knight to e3, and after rook to e1, a6. Knight to g4 was played. Rook takes on a7. c4 would be a better move, and if knight to e3, rook to g1. Back to our game. We have rook takes on a7, knight to e3, rook to g1 attacking the bishop, maybe. h6, let's take it back. Rook takes on c2 is the best move, and if rook takes on g5, rook takes on c6. h6 was played. Rook to c7, intending rook to c8 in some variations. For a piece, white now has 2 pawns, plus 4 passed pawns, and one of them is very close to promotion, so it is not clear who is winning now. King to g7, a4, solving back rank problem and pushing the pass pawn. Pass pawns must be pushed. Let's take it back. If rook to c8 is played, then the threat is rook takes bishop. If king goes to f7 and rook takes on g5, then the rook, black rook on d8, has no defender. But this variation has a tiny downside, and that is rook to f1 checkmate. And Kramnik didn't like this downside, so he played a4. King to f7, bishop to b5. e5 is better move. Bishop to b5, king to e7, a5, rook to f4. Intending rook to b4, perhaps c3, preventing rook to b4. Perhaps something like rook to g4 should have been considered. Caruana played king to d6, and this is a blunder. But Kramnik missed the best move. He played rook to b7. Rook to c6, check, would turn the tables. If king goes to e7, then a6, and after rook takes on d7, rook to c8, rook to a7, rook to e8 check, king to f6, rook takes on e3, and white is better. And what else? After check, if king takes on d7, this is even worse. Then rook takes on h6, discover check, and after king to c7, rook takes on g5, and black can resign. Back to our game. Missing the best move by playing rook to b7. Rook to g4, rook to e1. If rook takes rook, then f takes on g4, and black has 2 connected pass pawns and winning. Rook to e1, f4, a6, h5, a7, intending rook to b8 and winning the game. It looks like that white is winning now. Rook to a8, b4, even better is c4, and if h4 now, then c5 check. If king takes on c5, then check again, and after king to d5, rook to c8. And white is winning. Back to our game. b4, h4, c4, h3. The race. c5 check, king to e5, rook to b8. This is a blunder. Let's take it back. In this position, bishop to c6 is the best move. taking care of h1 square. If now h2, then rook to h1, and after rook to g1, king to b2. White is better. Back to our game. Rook to b8, losing the pawn. But Kramnik had something in mind. This is the variation he had in mind. Rook to g8, intending rook takes bishop, and then pawn is pushed and promoted the queen. If the pawn moves, rook takes rook, and knight can't take the rook because the knight is pinned. Bishop to f6, and now Kramnik realized that rook takes rook does not work. So he pushed the pawn and promoted it to queen. What did he see here? He realized that if rook takes on g4, then king goes to f8, unpinning and attacking the rook. And if rook goes now to g8, then what happens then? What would you do in this position if you had black pieces? Then rook to a1 checkmate. Kramnik didn't want to be checkmated. And he pushed the pawn. Queen. Bishop takes queen. Rook takes on g4. Bishop to f6. Rook to g6. Rook to b7 attacking the bishop. Bishop to e2. Rook takes on b4 check. King to a2. Knight to c2. Rook to c1. Knight to d4. White to move. Bishop to d3. Missing the best move. Bishop to g4 should have been played. And if now h2, then check. And after king to d5, rook takes on f6. White is winning. Perhaps then the best move for black is rook to a4 check. And after king to b2, white is okay. Black is not winning in this variation. Bishop to d3. Rook to a4 check. King to b1. Knight to b3. Attacking the rook. Rook to e1 check. King to d5. Did you notice that black king is better positioned than white king? King to c2. Knight to d4 check. This knight is very, very annoying and stealing time on the clock from Kramnik. So this is check. King to b1. Knight to f3 attacking the rook. Rook to d1 with some ideas of the discovered check. But there is a problem. And what is the problem? How will you continue in this position if you had black pieces? Caruana played rook to a1 check. King to c2. Rook takes on d1. Bishop to a6. If king takes on d1, then h2. And after rook takes on f6, pawn is pushed and promoted to queen, and black is winning. So, bishop to a6. Rook to d2 check, very good move. If h2, then bishop to b7 check, and after king takes on c5, bishop takes on f3. So in this position, rook to d2 check, king to c1, bishop to b2 check, king to b1, king takes pawn on c5, bishop to b7 attacking the knight, attacking the rook, rook to f6 attacking the pawn, pawn is pushed, rook to f5, if bishop takes on f3, the knight takes on f3, and after rook takes knight, pawn is pushed, and after something like rook to h3, preventing pawn to h1, queen, king to c4, if check or something, king goes forward, and after check, bishop to c3, and white king must go east, king to c1, then rook goes to e2, threatening rook to e1 checkmate. If rook goes to d3, preventing checkmate, then pawn is pushed and promoted to queen. I think we can stop here. Back to our game. Rook to f5, pinning the knight. The very dangerous knight. Black played a move and white resigned. F2. Kramnik resigned. It was a dinner time. And the other reason was this variation. Bishop to a6, preventing queening. Then h2. Rook to h5, preventing queening on h1. But after rook to d1, check. There is no sense of defense, and one line goes like this. King takes bishop. H-pawn is promoted to queen. Rook takes h-pawn. And then rook takes rook. And what now? After king to c3, other pawn is pushed and promoted to queen. And bishop takes queen, rook takes bishop, and I guess we can stop here and have a dinner. That was a very interesting game with mistakes on both sides. What do you think of this game? And that is all. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. I wish you good luck with your chess, and bye for now.